Hello, my subject today is disability representation in film and television. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that most times is a major problem is that a disabled character is played by a non-disabled actor. Now, this is a problem because it means that many talented disabled actors are not getting any work. First problem. Second problem is, well, unemployed actors just do normal jobs if they can't get work, but as we know, as is a well-known fact, people with disabilities, disabled people, or however you want to say it, however you identify, find it much harder to get jobs because there's less opportunities, because there's various reasons for that, and therefore it's harder for unemployed disabled actors to get any work, whether it's acting work or not. The next point, which is just as important, is that the actual representation then is not as good because it's always a non-disabled view of disability. So, for example, it's always viewed as a tragedy, or like there's always a stereotype, at least one stereotypical moment, or normally the whole thing's stereotypical, and it's usually uses at least one stereotype in the production, and this teaches the general public really all the wrong messages about disability, and it gives a very bad view, and it makes people, probably contributes to the fact that a lot of people are still nervous around disability and everything like that, and really creates a lot of ignorance, and all these problems are multiplied by the fact that it's actually quite rare that we get a production on TV or film, or, well, even stage in my experience, about a disabled character. And then when there is, you normally only have one disabled character in that production, or if there's more than one, then their other disabled character gets like 5 minutes of dialogue or something, in my experience. And this is just not good enough, because what we need is, first, more disabled actors getting the role. Second, and really at the same time as that move happens, is multiple disabled characters in programs, because then we actually get a truer representation of disability, and the fact that when you have you're not all one type of person. You know, I'm completely different from someone else who's autistic, or completely different from someone else who's got epilepsy, or completely different from someone else who's got dyspraxia. But there are similarities, but we also have differences as well, in taste and opinion and religion and all these sorts of things, and also how we deal with our disabilities as well, whether we get very sad and frustrated about it, or whether we just have an ability to deal with it. And I think perhaps the negative representation and portrayal of disability has an effect on the number of people that aren't able to deal with their disabilities, because that's what they see. And if someone suddenly becomes disabled through an accident or through illness or something, then all they've seen is these really negative representations in film or something, or television, then how are they going to react, basically? And of course, this all has an effect on the general sort of belief about disability, probably. And I really think that in the 21st century, in 2017, we need to really make our representation and portrayal of disability better. The media does, in the film and TV industry and theatre as well, even if perhaps theatre is potentially slightly better. But when you think that the theatre production of The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime has never had an autistic actor play Christopher Boone, then they're kind of just as bad, really. I mean, at least in theatre you have the specialist disabled companies like Chicken Shed and Grey Eye, but they're terrific and they're brilliant companies, but the people that come to their shows are more likely to have a better knowledge of disability. So maybe someone like the RSC could start employing actors with disabilities, for example, and then that would actually really get the nation talking and employ, if they, as well as actors, you need writers, directors, production people, all of that, all of the sort of big crew and creative people around film, TV and theatre. You need those people to be, you need there to be some with disabilities, and you need to have their input in productions about disability to get better portrayals, in my view. So that's where I'm going to end the video, and I hope that was clear and informative.